بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. السيدات والسادة الحضور، نطلب منكم الالتحاق بالقاعة من فضلكم حتى يتسنى لنا بدء مجريات هذا المنتدى. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to join your seat, please. We are live on YouTube, on Tiqa channel, and we are going to start in 2 minutes. Thank you. Just to confirm this, the first name. Excellencies, CEOs, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to welcome you to the Halal Economy Leadership Forum. As you know well, halal products are services, and services are rapidly emerging as a powerful force in global trade and economic development. This remarkable growth is fueled not only by strong demand from Muslim customers worldwide, but also by a growing interest among non-Muslim customers in products that reflect universal ethical values, trust, integrity, and sustainability. HELF is more than a forum. It's a call to action among its key objectives. These key objectives are facilitating dialogue on standardization, that the halal certification process, promoting innovation, ethical business practices, and sustainability across the value chain. So for the opening ceremony, it is my pleasure to call His Excellency Rizani Mohammed Mazlan, the Ambassador of Malaysia to Algeria. He is representing His Excellency Takku Zafrul Aziz, Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry from Malaysia. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very barakah afternoon. His Excellency Datuk Johan Mahmud Marikan, Secretary General of Treasury, Ministry of Finance, Malaysia. Dr. Isa Faye, Director General, Global Practice and Partnership from ISDB. Dr. Abdul Hakim Elwair, Assistant Director General from Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. Not forgetting Mr. Hairul Arifin Shahari, CEO of HDC. Distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, brother and sister. Firstly, it is indeed a privilege to address in this beautiful hall on the prestigious Halal Economic Leadership Forum in Algiers on behalf of the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry of Malaysia. I would like to congratulate the Halal Development Corporation, the Islamic Development Bank, and the Halal Product Development Company for co-hosting this wonderful event. This forum provides a platform to chart new pathways for the halal economy, a growing pillar of global commerce and sustainable economic development. Your presence today affirms the commitments of Malaysia, Algeria, and all the OIC communities in strengthening global partnerships to unlock the potential of the halal economy as a driver of inclusive growth, cultural unity, and economic resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, halal economy represents far more than a commercial sector. It embodies ethical Islamic principles and universal values of quality, safety, and sustainability. From F&B to pharmaceutical, cosmetics, finance, and tourism, the halal ecosystem is both all-encompassing and dynamic. With a global Muslim population now exceeding about 1.9 million and growing, this halal economy offers vast opportunities for investment, innovation, and job creation. It is a beacon for inclusive prosperity, not only for Muslim communities, but also for all of us in the global market. Malaysia is proud to have established its leadership in this sphere since 1972. Our robust and comprehensive halal ecosystem, comprising certification, bodies, industry pioneers, research institutions, and dedicated government agencies, ensure that integrity and technical know-how anchor the quality of Malaysia's halal products and services. Through strategic policies, Malaysia has developed itself into a recognized halal hub, bridging halal trades between the East and the West. Ladies and gentlemen, I am particularly pleased to highlight the momentum created by this inaugural Halal Economic Leadership Forum last year during the ISDB 50th Golden Jubilee celebration in Riyadh. This monumental forum yielded considerable tangible outcomes in terms of global collaboration, fresh investment, and new market opportunities across OIC member states and beyond. HELF looks set to continue being a catalyst for bringing together stakeholders from around the globe to pursue shared impactful goals and mutual benefits within the global halal landscape. To this forum is yet another unique opportunity for all of us from Malaysia, Algeria, and international partners to exchange ideas, best practices, and forward-thinking solutions. As the world navigates the complex shift in the trade, technology, and geopolitics, it is pertinent that we draw on our collective wisdom and resources to ensure the vibrancy and the sustainability of the halal economy. In line with this forum's objective, Malaysia remains steadfast in supporting initiatives that facilitate trade, develop industries, expand market access for halal enterprises. We are definitely committed in deepening collaboration with Algeria and all OIC member states so that together we can harness the full potential of the halal economy and create a future that is more inclusive, equitable, and prosperous for all. Allow me just to share a brief snapshot of Malaysia's trade data with Algeria for last year. As a testament of our growing partnership, last year, Malaysia's halal export to Algeria reached about USD 76.3 million, marking a robust 24% increase from the year before. In addition, Malaysia's halal export to the OIC countries grew steadily, reaching to US dollar 2.65 billion and increasing further to US dollar 2.79 billion in 2024, a reflection of the expanding demand and strong halal trade ties within the OIC countries. Our primary halal exports to Algeria and the OIC countries represent a diverse portfolios from F&B to cosmetics, personal care products, halal ingredients, and palm oil derivative. This diversification demonstrates the strength, versatility, and global appeal of Malaysia's halal industry. We are definitely committed to broaden this halal market space to better serve Algeria and the OIC community. Ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, again, let me express our sincere gratitude to all the participants for your unwavering dedication to advancing the halal economic agenda and economic journey anchored in integrity, inclusivity, and innovation. Moving forward, let us seize this moment to forge new alliances, empower our entrepreneurs, and invest in technologies that will definitely elevate halal industries to a higher plateau. Together, we can make the halal economy a powerful force for sustainable development, shared prosperity, and global harmony. Let me leave you with the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The best of people are those that bring the most benefit to the rest of the mankind. May this forum inspire us to embody that spirit, to build bridges across borders, to uplift our communities, and to create lasting value for generations to come. With that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih and shukran jazilan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Rizani Muhammad Mazlan, Ambassador of Malaysia to Algeria. You spoke, you're representing His Excellency Tengku Safrul Aziz, Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry of Malaysia. You remind us the commitment of Malaysia and Algeria, two countries supporting halal economy, not only for Muslim customers, but worldwide. And you highlight the efforts made by Malaysia in supporting the sustainability of halal economy. Now I have the pleasure to call Dr. Isa Faye, Director General, Global Practices and Partnership, to take the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm pleased to welcome you to this important gathering jointly organized by the Islamic Development Bank, the Halal Products Development Company of Saudi Arabia, and the Halal Development Corporation of Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very timely event at a time of global economic uncertainty, when nations are in search of innovative solutions to their development challenges. there has never been a more critical moment to convene the Halal Economic Leadership Forum. The global economy, driven by ethics, sustainability, and inclusivity, is projected to reach $5 trillion by 2030. Expenditures on halal products alone are expected to rise to nearly $3 trillion by 2027. With ISDB member countries, halal import estimated to grow from $360 billion in 2022 to $492 billion in 2027. Yet, the full potential of this economy remains untapped due to fragmented certification systems, inconsistent standards, regulatory challenges, and gaps in the supply chain. Several ISDB member countries have strong potential to become global halal trade hubs. Algeria, our generous host, stands out due to its strategic geographic location, is one of the potential regional hubs for halal. With targeted investment in infrastructure, regulatory frameworks, and human capital, Algeria could emerge as a leader in global halal landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to highlight the ISDB Center of Excellence in Kuala Lumpur is actively working with Malaysian stakeholders on transformative halal initiatives. This includes Halal Industrial Park 2.0, which aim to enhance local halal production by developing a robust ecosystem for innovation, collaboration, and supply chain efficiency. To further promote the halal global economy, the Islamic Development Bank is facilitating exchange of experience, expertise, and technology, whereby countries like Uganda and Indonesia have benefited from support from Malaysia through the ISDB reverse linkage program. Another notable example is our partnership with Malaysian company to support Fiji Muslim League in modernizing and digitizing halal certification. And I see my sister here who is spearheading this work. Very happy for the collaboration and the work that you're doing in Fiji, which is an initiative that not only improves standards, but also spurs inclusive economic growth. To strengthen the sustainability of the halal ecosystem, it is critical to address the challenges faced by micro, small, and medium enterprises in the value chain. And in so doing, the Kuala Lumpur Center of Excellence is partnering with Bank Negara Malaysia, the Ministry of Finance, and the World Bank in developing and participating Islamic banks to develop the Green Halal Business Program. This initiative supports halal MSMEs in adopting green practices through training, capacity building, and enhanced access to finance. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by saying that the halal economy presents a powerful engine for inclusive growth and job creation. I encourage all member countries and stakeholders to collaborate with ICB in creating an enabling environment to support this vital sector. Now, I would be remiss if I conclude without thanking the Center of Excellence, the Kuala Lumpur Center of Excellence, Samir and the team for their excellent work in organizing this, and also thanking the Malaysian partners for their work and working with us. I'm thanking the Minister of Finance, Excellency Dr. Johan, also for his support and all the collaboration that we've been having in Malaysia. We are gearing up as the Islamic Development Bank to strengthen the collaboration and take it to new heights. So with that, I wish you productive deliberations and look forward to proceedings of this very important event. I thank you, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Isa Faye, Director General, Global Practice Partnership. Thank you for your productive speech. It's my pleasure now to invite His Excellency Abdul Hakim Al-Waar, Assistant Director General, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أسعد الله صباحكم بكل خير ومساءكم. Excellencies, distinguished guests and delegates, colleagues and friends, all sisters and brothers attending today. It is a great honor to me, on behalf of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, be part of the Halal Economy Leadership Forum today and address a topic that continues to grow in significance across global food systems, the halal products. This sector not only represents deeply rooted cultural and religious tradition, but also a vibrant, expanding market that increases issues of food security, international trade, sustainability, and ethical food production. As you all know, the halal products, meaning permissible in Arabic, refers to what is allowed under the Islamic law. In the context of food, halal rules governs not just the ingredients, but also the process of production, slaughter, the handling of animal-based products, and also the financing that goes into it. Today, the global Muslim population exceeds 2 billion population of people, representing about 25% of the world's population. With rising incomes and increased awareness, the demand for halal products, especially meat, poultry, dairy, and processed foods, has grown significantly. This is on top of the other halal products, including cosmetics and halal services such as halal tourism and other products. The halal market is estimated over $2 trillion annually at the moment, with animal-based products forming a major share. Countries such as Indonesia, Malaysia, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, are among the largest consumers of halal products. However, non-Muslim majority countries like Brazil, Australia, and France are key exporters of halal certified products today. And this is where the efforts of the ISDB with all the other institutions within the Muslim countries should try to shift the production of the halal products more within the Muslim communities. However, and despite its size and growth, the sector is still facing some challenges related mainly to the lack of standardized certification. There are multiple halal certification bodies, and I see SMIC colleague here who have been pursuing the process of certifying and agreed on halal certification, often with varying requirements and varying certification standards. There is limited traceability and transparency in supply chains, insufficient infrastructure in developing countries to meet the halal standards, as well as some concerns around animal welfare and sustainability during slaughter and production. Despite these challenges, the halal animal-based sector in particular offers enormous opportunities today. And we at FAO, as we're looking at the livestock at the global level, including the animal health and the One Health aspects, we also oversee how is the halal sector is doing within that animal-based market. First, market demand is expanding not only within Muslim majority countries, but also in regions with significant Muslim populations such as Europe, North America, and sub-Saharan Africa. So we should see this as a global commodity, not necessarily only for the Muslim communities in the major or Muslim majority countries. Some of you may also know some of the other sects of other religions prefer to, in their choice, halal products for also religious and ethical reasons. This growth is supported by urbanization and rising middle class, globalization of food chains, and also the interest in ethical and safe food practices, even more non-Muslim consumers. The second challenge is halal is increasingly being associated with quality, hygiene, and ethical sourcing. This opens doors to businesses that adhere to high animal welfare and food safety standards. Third opportunity is the technological innovations, including blockchain for traceability, smart logistics, and automated halal compliant slaughtering, are enhancing the efficiency and transparency of halal supply chains. Fourth opportunity on the halal sector can also stimulate economic development in rural areas, supporting small-scale farmers, pastoralists, and local producers to meet halal standards can boost their livelihoods and integrate them into the global markets. Ladies and gentlemen, at the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organizations, we recognize the potential of halal animal-based products not only in terms of economic value, but also in part as part of its broader goals of achieving food security, sustainability, and inclusivity. In fact, FAO works with international partners to promote the harmonization of halal standards. A unified certification system can facilitate trade, reduce confusion, and build consumer trust. FAO encourages countries to align what SMIC is doing within the OIC countries, also with the Codex Alimentarius, which is the more global food standards institution under FAO, and other international food safety frameworks while representing religious guidelines. And we also would like to deepen our partnership with the ISDB, and I'm discussing this with Brother Isa on how we can work together into making sure that also that the halal exchange in terms of trade is included in the FAO global trade map for food products as a specific component. At the FAO, we emphasize the importance of capacity building, including training farmers, processors, and regulators on halal standards, strengthening veterinary services and animal health systems, supporting small and medium enterprises to enter halal value chains. Also, within FAO, we promote an inclusive approach, ensuring that women, youth, and marginalized communities can benefit from the halal market opportunities. We integrate halal development within the One Health and Sustainable Livestock initiatives. This means promoting environmentally sustainable practices, also ethical animal treatment, as well as reduced waste and efficient use of resources throughout the halal value chain. With this, I would like to maybe harness or call for harnessing the full potential of the halal, mainly animal-based products, but also other halal products, collaboration in key areas, and suggestions including governments must invest in the infrastructure, certification bodies, and regulatory frameworks. Private sector players need to innovate, share best practices, and ensure ethical compliance. Academic institutions continue and contribute through research on nutrition, processing methods, and halal science. And also international organizations like the FAO with the ISDB continue to support countries in creating inclusive, sustainable, and resilient food systems. If I may add to this, maybe you would consider on the scholarship program as well to specify some scholarship studies that are directly dedicated to promote halal science as a sector to ensure that we have deep research in that area. Together we can ensure that halal animal-based products and all other products are not only widely available and affordable, but also contribute to nutrition, livelihoods, and sustainable development for all, leaving no one behind. I'd like to thank you, wish you successful deliberations in this very important side event that you're holding here today, and looking for the outcome of these discussions to take them further to actions. So I wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you, Your Excellency Abdul Hakim Al-Wa'ar, Assistant Director General of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Thank you for your speech. It's my pleasure now to call Munira Abdulaziz Al-Muhammad, Chief Shared Service Officer, Halal Product Development Company, KSA. She is speaking on behalf of the CEU, Halal Product Development Company. مرحبا بك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a true honor to be here with you today. I'm pleased to deliver these remarks on behalf of Mr. Fahad Al-Nahid, the CEO of Halal Products Development Company, who could not be here with us today in person. He sends his sincere regards and gratitude for the Islamic Development Bank and all valued partners for convening this important gathering. At HPDC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, we are driven by a clear mission to work with harmony in the global halal stakeholders and enhance the position of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the global halal economy. Since our establishment in 2022, we have worked and enabled a strong, innovative halal ecosystem that supports local production, strengthens international trade, and promotes long-term partnership locally, regionally, and globally. The halal economy is evolving rapidly, presenting a vast opportunities for economic growth, investment, and innovation. But its success depends on more than market demand. It requires cooperations, shared standards, and collective vision for impact. This is where collaboration plays a central role. HPDC is proud to contribute not only by investing in the halal sector, but also providing advisory services through our specialized arm, Halal Product Advisory. We support companies in navigating halal certifications, improving operational efficiency, and entering a new market. Our aim is to raise the global competitiveness of halal producers and ensure that halal goods from food to pharmaceuticals and cosmetics meet the higher standards of integrity and excellence. HPDC, since its inception, has achieved a great success in developing KSA halal ecosystem in cooperation with the Saudi stakeholders, and had increased awareness to build capabilities of the halal sector worldwide. Our impact is not only in Saudi, but also reaches other countries. We believe in strengthening our partnership between government, private sectors, and global institutions. The challenges of today requires unified efforts. By working together, we can ensure that halal economy become not only commercial success, but also driver of sustainable development and inclusive prosperity. Looking ahead, we filled with optimism. With the support of the valued partners such as IDB and our other esteemed collaborators, we can shape a future where the halal industry thrives on the global stage. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Munira Abdulaziz Al Muhammad. You were speaking on behalf of the CEO Halal Product Development Company. Before the following panel, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to invite Dr. Marco Timani, consultant ESDB Center of Excellence, to give a special presentation.
Distinguished delegates, esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. It is a privilege to stand before you today and to contribute to this important gathering. Halal Industrial Park 2.0 is an ISDB study, a functional design that focuses on building production assets and supply network in ISDB member countries. This study builds upon previous investigation into global halal ecosystems. Next slide, please. Global Halal Ecosystem Assessment Report was a study conducted in the year 2021, 2022. COVID times, as some of you might remember. It was done by the Islamic Development Bank Center of Excellence in collaboration with the Halal Development Corporation from Malaysia. The main recommendation of this study was expanding the role of ISDB member countries in the halal value chain through strengthening control of supply, in particular increase production and trade of agriculture commodities, ingredients and additives. Also branding halal on agriculture commodities, ingredients and additives. Finally, also to create production clusters, but also link those clusters together locally, regionally, and globally. Next slide, please. The results of this study were presented to His Excellency during the Islamic ISDB Group annual meeting held in Jeddah in the year 2022. Next slide. Halal is not static. Halal is moving away from a product approach to a supply chain and value chain approach, also highlighted by my previous speakers. ISDB envisions with Halal Industrial Park 2.0 to strengthen the integrity of halal supply chains and value chains, also increase GDP, FDI, leveraging hereby on the massive halal market, also create quality employment in the halal industry, and increase intra-OAC trade, maybe in today's times, very important. Next slide, please. The problem statement as defined by the Islamic Development Bank is that ISDB member countries currently have a limited role in global halal value chains and are in short supply of raw materials, ingredients, as well as end products. We're not talking about pharmaceuticals only, also in cosmetics and basic food. The goal of Halal Industrial Park 2.0 is to boost production in ISDB member countries, boost entrepreneurship, and finally also boost innovation. Next slide. The objectives set in the Halal Industrial Park 2.0 are to address halal supply security, food security, but also supply security of cosmetics and pharmaceuticals, ingredients and end products. We need to boost entrepreneurship and startups. We have been benchmarking with top ecosystems, including Silicon Valley in the US, Food Valley in the Netherlands, ecosystems in Dubai, and many more. What we have in common there is that we see the importance of finance and also venture capital. So we need to embrace Islamic venture capital. We need to embrace Islamic finance, bring the halal industry and Islamic finance together. Third, we need to create a halal and tayyib ecosystem. We need to simplify halal for entrepreneurs. We need to simplify product quality. We need to simplify sustainability for SMBs. As mentioned by various speakers before me, collaboration felt with every speaker just now, this afternoon. Collaboration is critical within the supply chain, between supply chains, within an ecosystem and between ecosystems. We need to boost expenses, investments in R&D. Very important if we want to bring halal to the next level. Next slide, please. I'm proud to present to you Halal Industrial Park 2.0. Whereas Halal Industrial Park 1.0 is a dedicated halal industrial zone for halal industries. There is a possible role for halal certification bodies, a lab, a halal lab, or support in certification, and also possible government incentives. We need to go beyond this. We need to focus our halal industrial zone. For example, a halal meat cluster, a halal pharmaceutical industrial zone, a halal cosmetics zone, or a modest fashion cluster. We need to embrace the halal supply chain to create transparency in the supply chain, integrity. With us is also Mr. Ihsan Ufud, the Secretary General of OAC SMIC. There is already an international halal supply chain standard, OAC SMIC 17. Technology is important, including blockchain. Sustainability, we talk about importance of sustainable energy waste. Also, importance of water, and also reduce wastage. Finally, we need to bring Islamic finance and Waqf together. Waqf will play a role, important role I will share with you later. Next slide, please. The Halal Industrial Park will deliver increased food security and self-sufficiency, simplify halal product quality and also sustainability by design, lower supply chain cost, increase the role of ISDB member countries in the halal value chain, and connect ingredient production cluster networks between ISDB member countries. Next slide. We need to create, next slide please. We need to create a halal ecosystem. A halal ecosystem is foremost a cluster. At the center of this cluster is the supply chain. We need to have as many cluster components, supply chain components, physically in a halal industrial zone. The next layer is the supporting industry, like packaging suppliers or ingredient suppliers or other suppliers to the industry, as well as Islamic finance. The final layer are the stakeholders. That includes important government agencies, also organizations in standards, certification bodies, and more. Next slide. So what we have created in our functional design for Halal Industrial Park 2.0, we created various programs. So on the top left, we have the Greening Halal Business Program, which is creating awareness, technical skills, and green Islamic financing support for SMEs. We also put on top for every halal industrial zone, we need a cash Waqf fund, Awqaf, for some people that are not familiar with the word Waqf. So this Waqf fund, Awqaf fund, will be important in supporting SME development, training, facilities. Also play a role in incubators and accelerator program, and also will have an important relationship to the asset Waqf. In particular, unproductive Waqf land we would like to use for the production of agriculture for the users in the industrial park. That is important. So there in Malaysia and Indonesia, there is a lot of unproductive, not utilized Waqf land that can be used for the production of food crops for users in the industrial park, but also has a social purpose. For example, it can create free school meal programs as well as contribute to meals for orphanages. R&D is important for ingredients and Islamic finance. Islamic venture capital is an important program. A part of it can be funded through that cash Waqf program. And finally, also IT is important. For this purpose, we are using the Halal integrated platform, which is a system, a business-to-business platform by the Halal Development Corporation. It's providing connectivity of an ecosystem and also providing market access. So these are important programs as part of the functional design of Halal Industrial Park 2.0. Thank you very much, and I look forward to connecting with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marco, for your presentation. And it's my honor now to invite Samer Al-Aisawi. Mr. Samer Al-Aisawi is Head Center of Excellence, ISDB, to join us on the stage to moderate the next panel about advancing global partnership for the halal economy. So we call also Dr. Ilham Habibi, Chairman, PT, Iltihabi Rikatama, Indonesia. I'm sorry if the pronunciation is not exact, but you will correct it. I have the pleasure also to call Hairul Arifin Sahari, CEO, Halal Development Corporation from Malaysia. Thank you so much for joining us. I have the pleasure to call Muhammadu Diku Ladan, CEO, Dar Al Halal Group Limited, Nigeria. And I have the pleasure also to call Ruhaizad Hassan, General Manager of Yildiz Holding from Turkey. So, Mr. Al-Aisawi, you have the floor.
Can use this one.
Okay. Balado.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you for joining this session, distinguished guests. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Halal industry development. We have been hearing in the presentation and also from the distinguished speakers, from His Excellency, the Ambassador, Dr. Isa, from Munira, and also from Dr. Abdul Hakim Al-Wa'ir. There have been a lot of points that have been raised by them that is, I think, very important and will be discussed in more details in today's session. For example, it has been mentioned the increase of the halal industry from $3 trillion to around $5 trillion by 2030. And with this increase of this halal industry, a lot of challenges is there. Some of them has been mentioned. The issue of low material ingredients that will be used from within the OIC member countries. It has been mentioned that a lot of those ingredients actually is coming from non-OIC member countries. So we need to look into this intra-trade between our member countries and how we can enhance this. Now, we have today with us our distinguished guest, inshallah, which is experts in the field. We will be discussing some of those points. We will also discuss the issue of the halal industrial parks and its role as well. So inshallah, we look forward to a great discussion. So our first, Dr. Ilhami Habibi, the chairman of Iltabi. Good afternoon. Our first point, if you allow us, is what kind of the halal production clusters are present in Indonesia and halal zones? What kind of halal raw material ingredients industry is present there? Please.
Thank you very much for the question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, it's a pleasure to be here today and to participate in this very esteemed forum and panel. I am indeed the chairman of this investment company, which I lead since 20 over years. But I'm here also speaking on behalf of another organization called Iftihar. Iftihar is a foundation that was founded in 1996 between an Indonesian organization called ICMI, which is the Muslim Intellectual Organization of Indonesia, together with Islamic Development Bank, Rabita Alam Islami, and the Federation of Islamic and Arabic Schools, and the International Institute for Islamic Thought, IIIT. And this Iftihar, I'm leading as a Secretary General since about 8 years now. And Iftihar is now in the process of transforming itself into being a global hub for innovation. And of course, we're looking also at a halal ecosystem, halal industry. And being in Indonesia, I'd like to give you our experience, what we see in Indonesia. The halal industry, when it comes to cluster, is still in its infancy, I would say. We have now the beginnings of what we call halal industrial parks. There's already a few available, and I'm actually together with Dr. Marco Timan working on some new ones in some other provinces, but it's still early days. So if you talk about clustering, I wish it would be better than this, but it's not there yet. But we do have very strong, as we heard before, the three sectors of halal industries, which are food, cosmetics, and also pharmaceutical, all three are quite developed in Indonesia itself. And for us, being Iftihar, a global innovation hub, our task is to basically be a conduit for more companies, particularly small, medium-sized companies, also startups, to be in this field. Right now, much of the industry is dominated by large companies who are basically very capable of exporting all over the world. Indonesia being a very large country with a span of more than 5,500 kilometers west to east, a population of 285 plus, growing soon to be more than 300, 87% Muslim. You can imagine halal is a mainstream point of our industry, and our population looks very much after the halal. So halal is something which is very dominant in Indonesia and growing. But to your question, the clustering, I wish it would be better. But I think technology will play a large role. So some years ago, Iftihar has also engaged itself to establish, this sounds a bit out of the box, but I think it's very important to establish a satellite system, because we believe that the internet connection and also digitalization of everything that we do today, including halal, is really adamant. It's very, very, paramount. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ilhami. Clusterization, digitization, technology,
Right.
all are very important points. And you've raised those, also the needs from Indonesia. So, and that may be, that will bring us to Brother Khairul, which maybe you can also bring the Malaysia experience. So Malaysia has been long recognized as a global halal hub. How does Malaysia's halal ecosystem serve as a model for other OIC member countries that are looking to strengthen their own halal infrastructure and trade? Because we, during our work through the bank, we have been getting a lot of requests from our member countries that they want to learn about the halal development ecosystem. They want to know what to do. Some of them are eager to be part of this halal industry, but they don't know actually how to start. So maybe you can shed light on this point.
Thank you, Samir, for the good questions. As a government entity entrusted as a central coordinator of all matters regarding halal ecosystem development in Malaysia, it is SDC's day-to-day job to advance the halal ecosystem, to promote it, and equally important, to internationalize it, meaning that to connect it through proper diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking about making Malaysia halal ecosystem as a model, my take is when we want to make an item or any agenda out there as a model, for me it has to be something manageable, workable, and with good track record. One thing that I can say for sure, Malaysia's halal ecosystem does have all those characteristics. We started the work back in 1974. We went through our first 50 years of remarkable journey, and now the key stakeholders in Malaysia is working very, very hard on analyzing our past performance as we want to strengthen our foundation so that we can embark into our next 50 years of journey. So to answer your question, to summarize, Malaysia halal ecosystem, there are two core pillars that upholding it for the past 50 years. Pillar number one, we started back in 1974 as the first phase is halal governance development pillar, including the fatwa development, Sharia compliance system development, Islamic science development, halal standards development, and Sharia talent development related to halal. That's the first phase. So the outcome from this first phase development is the creation of a globally trusted halal certification governance mechanism, which are now has mutual recognition with more than 90 halal certification bodies from almost 50 countries. Then in year 2000, we started working on the second pillar, which is the halal industry development pillar. So this is the phase when HDC was established and Malaysia introduced its first halal industry master plan. And about 3 years ago, we launched our second master plan, which we call the Halal Industry Master Plan 2030 or HIMP 2030. So the outcome from this second phase of development thus far is the increase of our certified halal exports. For information, in 2014, Malaysia halal exports stood around 40 billion ringgit. And in 2024, last year, we announced that our halal export already reached ringgit Malaysia 62 billion. It's a 22 billion ringgit increase for the past 10 years. And of course, contribution by our halal promoter sectors, including processed foods, cosmetics, personal care products, pharmaceuticals, and ingredients to the Malaysia's GDP, which are now reaching almost 8%. So the core agenda of Malaysia's halal ecosystem development is always about the socio-economic development using halal as an added value or a value proposition. Then to ensure, Samir, that all stakeholders are moving towards the same direction, we have set four key results areas. Number one is on the halal integrity. We must uphold it throughout our supply chain. The halal trade, halal investment, and of course, halal quality employment. So that is not enough. So to work the ecosystem and to advance it, so we have the work that we are focusing on is to improve the identified 8 key enablers. Number one, policy and legislations. You got to be business friendly. Number two, science, technology, and innovations, human capital development, infrastructure and logistics, incentives, conformity assessment, data and analytics, and of course, awareness and promotion. So yes, to answer your question, sir, Malaysia's halal ecosystem can be one of the models which we can all look at. We have vast experience, and most importantly, to me, is we know how to manage it. So as a good managers, we must know how to strategize our ecosystem, number one. We must know how to control our ecosystem. We must know how to implement it, monitor it, and measure it. Because, Samir and ladies and gentlemen, what gets measured gets improved. So that is my comment on your first question, sir.
MashaAllah, thank you, Hairul, for the detailed explanation. And I believe a lot, if you want to go into details, a lot can be discussed. And also later maybe we can, exactly, for our next session. Mr. Diko, the issue of clusters has been discussed. So what kind of halal production clusters are present in Nigeria? And what kind of halal raw materials and ingredients industry is present? What is needed to be done in Nigeria in this regard?
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dar Al Halal, first of all, is a group of companies focused on the development of the halal ecosystem in Nigeria. We've been existing for the past 6 years, and we've been pushing gradually to create awareness and standardization within the halal ecosystem, within the halal eco markets. Now, the most important thing is Nigeria being at the heart of Africa and also at the hub of West Africa. There is a lot of trade between Nigeria and the West African region, and there is a lot of external trade from Nigeria to other countries. So what we have been focusing and promoting is to bring in the concept and the halal market element for Nigeria to create economic growth and opportunities for Nigerians. We started first by carrying out the first Nigeria Halal Markets Report, which was launched in 2023. Thereafter, in the last 1 year, our efforts have been boosted by the federal government of Nigeria, whereby the presidency has now taken the initiative of growing the halal ecosystem. And the office of the vice president and the project is being managed by the special assistant to the president on export expansion. And one of the key elements that Nigeria has achieved lately is coming up with a strategy of going back to the drawing board, whereby the Nigerian government has signed an agreement with the government of Saudi Arabia through the Halal Products Development Company, whereby Nigeria is doing a roadmap strategy so that all the opportunities for Nigerian entrepreneurs and practitioners and companies are identified, markets are identified, processes are identified, and that way there is inclusion for the whole of Nigeria. And the aim is, while we're exporting, then we can grow within the Nigeria laterally, providing food security, employment, and other opportunities. So in terms of the clusters, the main cluster is food and beverages. Particularly now, there is the meat hub expansion program, whereby the strategy is to export meat mainly to the GCC and other OIC countries. And for that, there is a significant effort which also is boosted by the federal government, whereby there are 3 ministries created from one. The Ministry of Agriculture, now there is also a Ministry of Livestock, there is also a Ministry for the Blue Economy. That way, funds and attention are given. So the other main cluster is grains and spices. And what we believe, or the strategy we've been pushing for, is in the process of exporting meat on a commercial large-scale basis, then the large-scale agriculture production and food processing, as well as the infrastructure, as well as logistics, are all encompassed into one program. The other element where we have the local production of ethical and organic medicines and products is also a major cluster that is being developed. But so in terms of the 3 clusters, we have food and beverages and spices and grains. But we are also working with the Nigerian government to build the infrastructure and the logistics, because perishable goods is a major problem for Nigeria. And apart from that, there is the need for capacity building, which is where the export expansion program and the roadmap strategy is also being supported by ISDB and BADEA. Thank you.
Thank you. Building the logistics infrastructure in order to support actually exporting those products to within the OIC is something that's very important. Looking to the private sector and hearing from Mr. Hassan on his point of view. And so how do you, as a private sector company in Turkey, how do you organize your supply network of food ingredients and food packaging? What are the biggest challenges? What are the biggest challenges as a food producer? So getting this private sector perspective will be important to this discussion.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To the moderator, Mr. Samir, and also members of industry, and also my fellow colleagues. First and foremost, Yildiz Holding is considered as one of the largest company in Turkey. We are also kind of new in this space, but we after merger and acquisition in the past 15 years, we have over 300 brands. Among them are heritage brand in the UK, in Netherlands, France, and also many other parts of the world. We also operating in 36 locations in all 7 continents. As in this space, especially in this region, Middle East, we are operating in Riyadh and Jeddah, and also in Nigeria and also in Egypt. So for this part of the world. And the rest we are operating, as part of the question, is actually we are operating 7 refineries. So with our 7 refineries, we are focusing on downstream product, from cocoa to hazelnut, sugar, and we have also a refinery center in Manchester to supply to all our 37 facilities globally. So that's how we manage our supply chain, so that we process our own refineries, downstream product. Packaging-wise, it's very challenging these days because the number of the petroleum-based packaging have been reduced to less than 50%, 42% to be exact. And because of the industry are using more recycled packaging at this moment, mass bio and also animal recycled product, we have to actually focus on lab analysis and focusing on only resin producer that produce only packaging which is non-animal dedicated process. So that's very important for us. In terms of challenges, there are 2 challenges that we are facing at this point of time. The first one, the challenges that we have to find dedicated halal facility. I think also Mr. Marco Timan have presented about to find dedicated halal facility is very highly expensive for us, because even in Europe we have to find, because the understanding is because the segregation of these manufacturers or suppliers are not accurately done. So maybe if we in the future we have standards, halal standards that focus on clear what is definition of segregation, because if we not define what is segregation properly, then manufacturers can decide how segregation will work for them. But for us, it's an expensive move because in terms of cost, in terms of time to find a proper dedicated halal facility, it's actually costly for us. Number 2, because of the different trade barriers. You know, sometimes to export to Saudi, export to GCC, we have to have 2 or 3 separate halal certification. Indonesia, we have to apply a different one. Sometimes to Malaysia, we have to apply a different one. So it's not about the cost of the certification. It's not an issue for us. But the time that we have to face the audit certification process is a bit challenging, because we also have FDA audit, we have BRC audit, we have client audit, we have SSI for our 6,000 suppliers globally. So all this process, compliance team have hard time to actually to process all of this. So these are 2 issues that we find. One is actually finding dedicated halal facility, especially in Europe and the US. And also number 2 is actually getting harmonization is still, I think, still work in progress, I would say. But for us, especially multinational company, we are facing these challenges. But if you imagine out there, SME, you know, call it industry, which is small, medium industry, they will face more challenges because of these what we call trade barriers that we face on day in, day out. So I'll pass back to Nuri. Thank you.
Thank you. Halal facility and certification process that takes time between countries, that's a very important point. But if we go to Dr. Ilhami And we've heard about the ecosystem between different member countries. So how do you think we can link those halal ecosystem together within the OIC? We know about the QR code, halal QR code. How does the halal QR code can play a role on this?
Yeah, thanks for the good question. Coincidentally, we are working with an Indonesian startup called International Halal Services, and they are promoting a concept of using QR code exactly for that. I think the technology side is it's in the end surmountable. You can find a solution. The challenge is basically the different standards in different countries, different regulations, which have historical nature sometimes, political or even real issues that are faced by the different countries. Yeah. So we as IFTIHAR, Islamic International Forum for Science, Technology, and Human Resources Development, our aim is basically to function as this global innovation hub when we connect all the ecosystem, and there are many, I mean, the incubators, the accelerators, the corporations, the SMEs, the regulators, the universities. We should not forget that there's a lot of innovation happening at universities. If I look at Indonesian universities, lots of things happening there. Unfortunately, some of these very brilliant ideas, they don't really get used, yeah, because they don't know what to do with it, and because academicians are usually not much into business, but that is something we ought to do. And I think, if I think very broadly, to bring more impetus into the whole system is to have also more academic collaboration, but at the same time monitor what comes out of that, or that innovation, in order to see whether some of it can be channeled into something more in an entrepreneurial way and being something successfully applied in companies. Yeah, so I think that's one role that we want to play as IFTIHAR, basically.
Thank you. So for Brother Khairul, now the certification process has been mentioned. That takes a long time. Maybe digitization and how we can link that to the halal can help. What other are the main key barriers that you think currently limit the halal trade between, for example, Malaysia and the OIC member countries? How can these be addressed through the strategic partnership that we developing?
Thank you, Brother Samir. I would like to answer this question from a policymaker point of view. We know the situation now that the size of the global halal market has exceeded USD 3 trillion back in 2020. And we have forecasted that it's going to increase to 5 trillion in 2030. Some reported USD 7 to 8 trillion depending on how they classified their data. But regardless the sources of the information or data, for sure it is in trillions of dollars. So that is a fact. But ladies and gentlemen, the supply going into this trillions of dollar market is nothing more than 20%. So leaving a huge gap of 80% between supply and demand. So the big question here is what went wrong actually. So the biggest issue faced by industry players globally is actually halal supply chain breakdown. So I can see the breakdown happening in 3 areas. Number one, the halal supply chain networks is quite weak. The halal supply capability and capacity. And thirdly, the ability to uphold the halal integrity throughout the supply chain. So if you ask me on which sectors that we must give focus on, so I choose halal ingredients because the biggest pain in the neck in the entire global halal production is lack source of certified halal ingredients, both for food and non-food industries. So again, from policymakers' standpoint, so how can we strategically respond to this issue? So what we as a policy makers or business communities within the ISDB member countries can do together. So this is where, for me, Samir, the Halal Diplomacy Initiative kicks in. Yeah? So ladies and gentlemen, what actually we want from Halal Diplomacy Initiative? So it was announced by the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi in London in 2020, in October 2023, when we organized our World Halal Business Conference over there. So the idea about this diplomacy initiative is all about internationalizing our halal ecosystem. That is very, very important. So what we want to do is we want to connect the halal ecosystem of one country to another so that our halal intra-trade, our halal intra-investment, and intra-human capital exchange among the OIC countries can be increased. That is the outcome from the halal diplomacy. So the big question, the next big question that people might ask me later, how do we connect the halal ecosystem? How do we connect the halal supply chain? So from policymakers' standpoint, we have identified 8 halal ecosystems critical connecting points that we need to work on together. Number 1, more G2G bilateral consultation on halal development. Meaning, we must bring halal agenda as a government agenda. Bring it on the table, discuss about it at strategic level. That is number 1, very, very key. Make it as an agenda of a country. Secondly is to discuss and decide on mutual economics return between the countries, participating countries. So we must be on a single-minded mode. We need to search the right ROIs, whether in the form of trade, foreign direct investments, or other macroeconomic outcomes. That's second critical connecting point. Thirdly, we need to establish mutual recognition between halal certification bodies on halal certification best practices. Just now I shared that Malaysia Halal Certificate has mutual recognition with 90 halal certification bodies from 48 countries. But why we stop at 48 countries? Because we know out there that there are more than 150 countries has their own local halal certification bodies. So we must not stop at 48. We need to have mutual recognition on the best practice of halal certification with more than 150 countries available in the entire world. And next is to establish strategic cooperation between the halal industry promotional bodies like HDC, Malaysia, to increase halal awareness and adoptions among the industry players and policymakers. So we need to have this. We need to make sure that halal being discussed at strategic level. The policymakers must understand that halal is all about, it's not just about merely religious matter, so we need to take it up at the economic development matter as well. And number 5 is we need to enhance existing business linkages, platforms such as B2B, expositions, forums, conferences, etc., to increase business opportunity. This is what we are having, this Halal Economic Leadership Forum is all about. And number 6 is to start promoting auxiliary services to tighten up the halal value chain, including logistics, laboratory services, and others. So once we have the industry players kicks in, the auxiliary services become relevant. So there's no point of us promoting auxiliary services in halal without having enough products and services that we can offer to the market. And next is to work on talent development and exchange to increase the integration speed rate. And last but not least, to harmonize the halal certification best practices with other trade and investment-related processes to reduce non-tariff barrier. This is what Brother Rohaizat mentioned just now. It's not just enough for us to discuss about how we want to promote or we want to have mutual recognition on halal. So we need to harmonize it with other best practices. For example, the importation of meat. It's not just the halal requirements that we need to look at. There are importation requirements, the Department of Veterinary Services, and other and so on. So the idea here is to make sure that halal must not become a non-tariff barrier to promote trade. So these are the 8 critical connecting points, but it does not have to be implemented in sequence. So we can pick and choose which one to start first based on the ecosystem current state assessment study that HDC and ISDB doing at the moment. And definitely, end of the day, we want to connect the ecosystem and we want to feed our 1.8 billion Muslim brothers and sisters out there with certified halal products.
Thank you, Mr. Khairul. I think halal diplomacy is something that can be something that's very, especially when we talk to G2G. Halal recognition also, because it's not that you need to have a unified halal certificate, but it's more of a recognition between the countries. But those recognition, if it's recognized, that means the trade and the facilitation should be that you don't have to go through the process of certifying your products if there is a pre-recognition between agreement between those countries, which will facilitate actually the trade between the countries. Mr. Diko, also I want to hear your view on how we can link those halal ecosystem together with the OIC, and how we can better organize this intra-OIC trade of raw material and ingredients.
Thank you very much. For me, from the private sector focus, the key element is market access. Once we have access to each other's markets and make it easier for ourselves to trade with each other, all the other elements, whether it's harmonization, standardization, certification, they will all come into that same bracket. And we work at various stages in developing this. So for example, part of the roadmap for Nigeria includes export expansion program whereby Nigerian companies, with the support of HPDC Saudi Arabia, are onboarded into the GCC markets. This can also be repeated towards the Far East and to Europe and other OIC countries. But most importantly, what we have is, rather than wait for the governments to do all the bilaterals, the private sector need to engage actively, not necessarily at a large scale, but we need to be reaching out to each other and then learn and bring technologies and capacities together. And this is where you have the chambers of commerce and the big organization like HDC, Malaysia can play a critical role. But more importantly, with the ISDB, your program where you build centers of excellence. And for example, we have Sarunai. We've been talking to them on how to use some of their technologies to boost our trade. Trade data is very important. Most of the OIC countries don't know much. There is no recording of daily commercial or agricultural or any other form of activity. So we need to do this as we are practicing the business. So we need to run with the trade deals, B2B, but also focus on technology. The key element also here is most of the OIC countries don't have access to finance. Financial inclusion for the smaller companies and the medium and large companies is a major constraint. So the key element here is we keep accessing each other's markets, and then the rest, in my view, will follow, because there is no clear set program whereby, or a template that everybody has to follow. Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, as an example, they are far advanced, but then there are several other opportunities globally for us. Thank you.
Actually, you are right. Financial inclusion, when you link it with capacity building, that you learn from each other, from countries learning from each other, Islamic banks being part of this financial inclusion, also supporting SMEs. So it has to be a whole ecosystem in order to be able to support those SMEs, in order to be able actually to export their products and increase this intra-trade. Going to Mr. Hassan, and this may be the last question before we open it, maybe the last couple, 10 minutes, maybe we open for maybe a couple of questions, maybe for the audience. So be prepared. If you have something in your mind, we'll come to you if you have some questions that you would like to raise. So Mr. Hassan, from your own perspective as a private sector, what are the biggest concerns in managing your halal food supply chain?
So I break down to two. One is B2C. So as a holder of many heritage brand, loss of reputation is actually is a critical for us. We have to maintain integrity of the product. So for consumer side, because most of the regulation these days, halal is not compulsory. Halal declaration is not compulsory. And consumer become very knowledgeable about what is additive, what is processing aid. They are very knowledgeable. But because of the landscape of regulatory, because there is no requirement for halal declaration on certain countries. I would say major country except for Pakistan and Indonesia. We keep on coming back with a customer complaint requesting what is this, what is the additive that we use and what processing use. And that is okay. But what is not okay is that people are posting on social media that this product contains this additive and they do not understand what is additive, and they say this is a porcine related to pork or whatnot. So this is actually a concern, especially when we do not have regulatory that protecting consumer about halal claims. Because that currently is voluntary in many countries because of adaptation from EU and also FDA. Because EU is saying that if we not use, if any manufacturer not using any processing aid, it does not need to be declared on the packaging. Whereas processing aid is quite common for manufacturing companies. So that's number one. So number two, in terms of business-wise, I would say that the technology at this point of time, we heard about blockchain technology is still fairly new. Most manufacturers unable to identify whether they have carryover or impurities coming from supplier to their products. And certification only can rely on documentation rather than identifying some source using traceability technology. So these are our concern. The know-how of, if they are declaring to us this product is animal-free, especially for additive which is not contain animal, the integrity of that information is actually very vague sometimes. They do not understand what actually they are referring to sometimes, because most of the additive in the industry are high risk. So these are the two major concerns that we have. Because of the time, I think I can point out two items. So thank you. Back to Mrs. Amir.
Maybe now we can open the floor for anyone who has a question. If you can raise your hand, if you want to introduce yourself, ask your question, and whom do you want to address it to? Okay, that means that we explained the situation well. Please.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. My name is Haruna Musa. I'm a PhD holder in Islamic finance. I'm the MD of Jaiz Bank in Nigeria, which is the first and biggest Islamic bank. My question goes directly to Dr. Diko Ladan. As he rightly pointed out, the halal economy in Nigeria is still at infancy stage. And the Islamic banking itself is barely 14 years. But today, looking at the Islamic banking, the entire Islamic banks in Nigeria account for only 1% of the total asset of the industry. So with another new entrant, we would like a more elaboration on what we need to do, to accelerate the growth and acceptance, of the halal economy in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jaiz are really the leaders in Islamic finance, but what we've seen in this in the last 2 years, we have Bank of Industry, we also have Nexim, and what we believe is through institutions like Jaiz and Taj Bank, as well as these institutions and other Nigerian Export Promotion, Investment Promotion Council of Nigeria, and also the Chambers of Commerce, what we want to see happening is the federal government of Nigeria taking the lead in reaching out to the more advanced or the richer countries for support. Because the key element, I think, in terms of maybe specifically Jaiz, it is you don't have sufficient funds to fund basic agriculture as an example. And there is the need for, you tend to focus on agro-processing, but then in Nigeria we have the insurance arm of Nigeria, we also have Bank of Agriculture. So what we want is to have a situation where we have or create a fund for Nigeria for the development of halal industry as a whole, whereby through the banks, the private sector are funded, and then the lower end of the market where the main production happens is supported, where it is, whether it's the communities or the farming organizations, and also the youth and the retired people. What we have in Nigeria is a lot of talent, but there is not enough jobs for them. So that is where we need to focus and make sure that the real growth element, especially the younger generation in Nigeria, that is the growth element. So how do we focus and bring them on board? It's not only just the high-end jobs that we need basic practical skills. But to do that, we need major off-take contracts, for example, for many of the ingredients, so that we can come back to banks like yours to access finance. And for example, Dar al-Halal, the group of companies, we have Dar al-Halal Financial Services, Venture Capital, Healthcare, Media, because media plays a significant role. We also have a foundation. More recently, we've signed an MOU with your certification body, JAI's certification, so that we can help not only ourselves, but the wider community in Nigeria to ensure there is growth. And the most important thing is we keep trying to identify the opportunities, and we've been running to the government, but the main strength of what we have in Nigeria is we have Mr. Aliyu Bunu Sharif in the audience. He's the Special Assistant to the President on Export Expansion. So like the Meetup project we are working on is centered around the Nigerian government bringing stakeholders together, and then we grow as Team Nigeria, accessing markets and creating opportunities within and outside Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Aliyu?
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aliyu Sharif. I'm the advisor on export to the President of Nigeria. In a bid to diversify our own economy, we are currently trying to develop the halal ecosystem in collaboration with ISDB and HPDC. So my question is to Mr. Hairo, the CEO of HDC. I would like to know what challenges have you been facing currently, in promoting the whole halal industry in Malaysia, Malaysia being one of the most advanced in terms of halal. So maybe it's a lesson that we could also learn from. Thank you.
Ready to hear the answer? Right. First thing first, we must understand that we must accept that halal technically is not an industry. It is a value proposition. And therefore, it cut across various sectors and business subsegments. So in Malaysia, we have a couple of promoted sectors like food, cosmetics, personal care, medical devices, ingredients for food and non-food items, logistics, so on and so forth. Because of the nature of halal as a value proposition, it cut across various ministries and agencies. In Malaysia context, we have agencies at federal level and we have at states level. So the biggest issue that we face for the past 50 years in advancing our halal ecosystem is coordination. And coordination work is major pain in the neck. So that's the reason why when I mentioned just now, there are two core pillars, the governance development and industrial development. So at the moment, the governance development is championed by our JAKIM, JAKIM, our certification body, and industrial development is championed by HDC. So when we successfully combine both elements, so we successfully develop what we call the halal ecosystem. And in Malaysia at the moment, we have more than 400 companies that can be certified halal. But the number of those certified halal is nothing more than 12,000. So to advance this halal, to manage this halal ecosystem, there are more than 300 organizations involved in developing it, advancing it. So coordination is key. So that's the reason why in my talk just now, we need to make halal as a country agenda. So in Malaysia, it is managed by a council called Malaysia Halal Industry Development Council, a council chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia. So we need to have that kind of level of coordination. And all these stakeholders need to be guided on what to do. So that's the reason why HDC, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry through HDC, we introduced the Halal Industry Master Plan. So the master plan guide the stakeholders on what to do and what to achieve. And for your information, during the previous Malaysia Halal Industry Development Council meeting, the Deputy Prime Minister urged each state's government in Malaysia to form their own Halal Development Council. And as one of the outputs from the council, the state level council, is to produce their own Halal Development Plan, aligning to the Halal Industry Master Plan and the National Industry Master Plan as a whole. So we cannot make Halal agenda as a, I would say, standalone agenda. It got to be aligned with the national agenda. For example, in Malaysia, our master plan, our Halal Industry Master Plan, aligned with the Malaysia plan. Starting from the 11 Malaysia plan, we are going to conclude our 12 Malaysia plan. 11 Malaysia plan, we are going to conclude our 12 Malaysia plan this year, and we already embarked into embedding the halal agenda into our 13 Malaysia plan. So that is my advice to you, sir.
Thank you. I think we can take only one more question before we conclude. Please.
Vous m'entendez? Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Lilia Malek, fondateur Lilali Conseil, gestion administrative et RSE. Je vais poser ma question en français et puis je lirai la traduction en anglais, Inch'Allah. Ma question est, comment peut-on développer une approche de halal tayyib? Ne pas se limiter uniquement à le halal strictement minimum de ce qui est dans la religion. Puisque Allah il dit Inna Allah la yuhibbul fasad. Ça veut dire inclure aussi une approche où on fait pas mal ni à la planète, ni à l'humain, ni au personnel qui travaille dans le halal. I will read in English the translation. First of all, congratulations on the brilliant initiative to unify halal certification among 150 countries. I like the idea. This is a major step to harmonization and mutual trust. My question is about the concept of halal al-tayyib. How can we ensure that this unified certification also incorporates environmental and societal sustainability? In other words, how can we guarantee a halal that does not pollute, does not contribute to facet, corruption, and harm on earth, and truly benefit people, animals, in the planet? Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Please, Dr. Diko.
In the case of Nigeria, I can assure you, for example, we as part of the export program for meat, we have a goats and sheep farm where we're trying to build up to 50 to 100,000 goats and sheep for export. Now, the first thing that happens is the federal government has the, makes sure you do the AEI, the EIA, the Environment Impact Assessment. They will do that, and then you have other departments of veterinary health and forestry and quite a number of agencies. In fact, we have NAFDAC, the Food and Drug Administration, but more importantly, when you go to banks like Jais, they're there next to you, they make sure before they lend you money or any funding takes place, all these requirements are met, as an example. So in my view, the governments have to put in place some of these checks, and Nigeria is quite active in embracing the climate change programs to facilitate general production of goods and services. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Diko. I think finally we can conclude this session. A lot of points has been mentioned that shows the urgency of building the halal production assets, supply networks in the ISDB, OIC member countries, how we can increase the role of the member countries in the halal value chain, and how we address the supply shortages. I would like to thank the speakers, our distinguished panelists, and the audience for attending this session. Thank you all, and look forward, inshallah, to our next Halal Economy Leadership Forum next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samar Al-Aisawi. We take a photo, and thank you for all your panelists. A photo, please. And a special thank also to Mr. Halal Arifan, CEO of Halal Development Corporation. He's going to give you, all of you, some mementos, a present from Halal Development Corporation, in order to thank you for your contribution to the advancing global partnership for the halal economy. So please bring the mementos, please, to our guests. Thank you. Thank you to the moderator, Mr. Samar Al-Aisawi. Thank you to Ilhan Al-Habibi. Thank you to Muhammad Diku Ladan. Thank you to Rahaizad Hassan. And we call also Marco Tiemen to join us, please, to take the present and take the photo with all the panelists. Thank you so much. And special thank to Halal Development Corporation from Malaysia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We mark a break and we come back for another panel, Trade Facilitation and Regional Integration, in half an hour, 30 minutes. And don't miss our big show this evening, the Innovation and Startup Pitch competition, starting at 3:30 p.m. Thank you so much, and see you in 30 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a 15-minute break and we'll convene back here for our next panel. So please be back here in 15 minutes. Thank you.
410 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Yes.
Pour une dernière fois, on va faire un test. Vas-y.
Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2. طفيته.